Everybody, welcome to another stream. And yes, today we are looking at 2d6 Realm. Let me get the chat up and just check the audio. Bear with me one momento. Just check the audio. Bear with me one momento. Okay, excellent. That sounds good. Bubba, how are you doing, my friend? First in. First on the comments. Jeff, Nick. How are you doing? How are you doing? I know, I've got a few things to explain about emails. I'll get to that. Hi Declan, how you doing? Having a good time at school at the moment? Yeah, I don't look great. I have actually got a head cold. And the thing is, right, because last week I was kind of exhausted. I didn't feel like I could miss this week. So you're going to have to put up with me being slightly nasally and a bit sniffy. I do apologise. If I sneeze, I'll turn the camera off. And Baba, good to hear you're feeling better. Johnny, how are you doing? Yep, got to help with science today in school, and the fable he wrote is being performed next week at school. Fantastic. That is awesome. What is the fable about? That sounds very fascinating. Sounds right up my alleyway. Julian, good evening, Toby and chat. Good evening, my friend. Vincent says, hello. It's good to see you again. Good to see you too. And Johnny, hey, don't worry about the snotty stuff. Me too, yeah. There's a bit of that around at the moment. I'm always a little bit worried about it, to be honest, because it doesn't sound very nice. Jeff, got to say, the front cover for D6 looks great. Thank you. Yeah, it was tricky. I really like it. I did have a different cover to begin with, and I showed my wife, and she's like, meh. Could do with it, could do without it, you know. I was like, uh-oh, that's serious. If the missus doesn't like the cover, then I know I've got to do a better job. She lays down the rules, and they're pretty strict. So we had a route around, contacted Dean Spencer, and I'm a patron of his, and had a look through some of his work. I just saw this one. I thought, now that looks kind of exotic, mysterious. There's a creature in the water in the foreground. There's different types of landscape, and then the mountains in the background, which are kind of framed in the world of Corradine. They're the sort of beyond to the north of the Heartland, where the 2d6 Realm is based. Jonathan says hi. Creepy Hero Studios, greetings. Miguel, good to see you. Agreed, the cover doesn't look great. Thank you, Baba. Nick says, and this is Declan's fable. His fable is about a bear, a rabbit, and a porcupine. Moral has to do with not believing everything you hear at face value. Exactly. You know, there are hidden depths, aren't there? I like the spikes in the water, yes. Who knows what creature that might be. Hey Todd, how you doing? Sebastian, good to see you, my friend. There will have to be a monster card for that creature in the water. It seems that way. Of course, the range of creatures are going to include some of the creatures already from 2d6 Dungeon, and a whole range of new ones. They're also going to include some from the Layers expansion, and some of them are going to have the level appropriate options, so level 2, 4, 7 and 9. So you can is that the right combination, something like that. And but some of them are just going to include level 1 or level 1 and 3 or something like that. So depending on how they're used, because when you're in 2d6 realm, you have two characters. You've got your adventurer and your constable. Now, some of you may have used the constable already in the lair, in the haunted house. They are returning to this version, and there are certain situations that you encounter. And it's important to know as well that these are it's still kind of being. I'm still working it. I'm still working out some of those balancing issues that I'm sort of butting up against as I expand the game. So we'll see, and the testing will no doubt be part of that. And I wanted to say first, we've got some of the key testers in the chat here. I haven't sent any emails out yet. I've got to a stage where I've reflected on what I've got, and in my mind, I need another couple of days to put together some example locations for people to use in their testing. And I didn't want to. Yes, cost protection. Yeah, we can talk about that as well if you want, Bella. Because basically, well, let me finish on the testing side. So, whereas I thought maybe it would be in a state for my primary phase testers to get their hands on it, you know, like Todd and Jeff and Nick and Jeff and I've said Jeff already, Clive and a few others who go through the text as well. It still isn't quite to that point, and what I'm afraid about is if I send out this, it's 30 pages at the moment. I don't want it to get too big. It's 30 pages. I don't want you guys to read it and think to yourself, oh, there's these errors and these errors, when really I should have covered those already with the first draft. So, you know, what happens if that doesn't work and this doesn't work? Well, I should have slotted that in already and not have you worry about that and have you thinking about other more important things. So I need to be able to be at a point where it hasn't got too many innate flaws in it already, and needs to iron those out. And unfortunately, as much as I'm sweating blood over getting this done, it's still taking me a bit longer. Lorian, welcome to the stream, my friend. Good to see you. So we are at that position where it's a fine balance. We're running out of time, but I do want to send it to people in a situation where it's worth giving the feedback on. So I know, Jeff, I saw your email. Hi, William. Good to have you here, my friend. First live stream for me. Fantastic. Welcome in. Pertweed's Law again. Yes. Take your time, pal. Can't release decent content if you don't look after yourself first. Yeah, Mark. Well, it has been an intense process. Listen, I am loving it. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes you just don't realise the toll it takes on your body when your mind is so kind of focused on a world and content and making things work. Yes, Jeff. So it is nearly there. Clive's going to get it as well. And then you'll see. But today we're going to go over some of it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the some of the key content, the maps, the icons, the types of lands. We'll go over that. Now that is fine. I've got all of the kind of core concept in, and it's almost it's thanks Baba. It's almost to the point where you can generate the land, generate the map. Now, I've been working on the map structure today, in the sense the frame into which you create your world and draw your maps. And the icons have been in place for a while now, the types of land. But the thing is, right, when you go to a piece of land, you generate a plot or a plot area. There's different types of... You will encounter certain things on that piece of land. So each type of land has a different encounter. In a sense, you got certain basic rules to follow, and then you can roll for the encounter, and then you can do other things within that land, and there may be further encounters to experience and explore. I'm trying to do something that is complex yet simple, but yet has a huge amount of replayability to it. So as with 2d6 dungeon, no two dungeons are the same. That's kind of where we're going. So Jeff says, will the overland crawling be intended for 10th level adventurer who finished a dungeon, or for new adventurers? That is a great question. So it's meant for both. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to go over just a little bit of update news, and then we'll launch into that, Jeff. The Brigand Lair, Johnny says. Well, there may well be that sort of thing. You will see in a minute. Bandits is actually more the situation. So, before we launch into the core ideas behind 2D6 Realm, which I've been fleshing out, and I've also been writing the history of Corodine, the world, and plotted out like a history type situation. And I had to do that because, as you'll see, some of the items, some of the magic, some of the extra stuff that's going into this relies upon the history of the world. I have to know the history, roughly speaking, so that I can draw lore and names and ideas from that space and put it into the current game. So, in any case, let's just go over a couple of things first. We'll get onto that in a sec. So, what is going on, people? Preparing for the new campaign? Yes. So, as part of the new... I've got like a little agenda thing going on here. So, I remember. My brain is scattered everywhere at the moment. So, preparing for the new campaign, one of the things that I've been doing is, obviously, I'm going through the rules, and I'm thinking about the expansions to the rules. And one of the things that occurred to me, people kept asking me for lists of the value of other items. So we're going back to core 2d6 here. And so what I was doing is I added a few other items in. I thought it would be really handy to have this available as a bookmark. All right. So a list of non-magical items that you can immediately access and know the value of. So if you're in game, you find a gem, you don't know how much that's worth. If you want to get some armor, you don't know how much that's worth. So what we did is, in preparation for the new campaign, is because this is going to be the second bookmark, as you can see on the screen here, that is going to be available. It's available in the new campaign, but because I'm having to think about dice, we can talk about dice as well. All the other little bits that need to go into the campaign to make it as kind of functional as possible. We've made the new bookmarks. So we have these are non-magical items, the values on a bookmark you can just use like the normal bookmark. It will sit beside that, and you've got that bookmark. So that is going to be available in the new campaign as an add-on, as will the original bookmark, which people have loved. This one is actually, this one is actually available now on the website. So we thought, because we're designing it because I wanted to have pictures of it ready for the new campaign, we've got it printed. It is also available, so you can either buy it now or you can buy it as an add-on with your new campaign. Add it to your campaign once the Kickstarter starts. Of course, there will be a wait for you to get it. It's going to be three months maybe before you get it, but they are also available on the website if you want to get one before that. They are only £2. Now, it seems a bit crazy for us to put them on because that means we've got to envelope them up and send them out. But it's fine. It's just that is now available to have next to your campaign, and you'll see it on the website, our DR Games. And if we haven't sent stuff out to you, just let us know. Everything should be flying across the Atlantic. So they are there. That is part of the new campaign. Is there a PMP of the bookmarks? When you buy the bookmarks, you get a link to the PDF for the bookmarks. Okay, PDF comes with the bookmarks when you buy it. So that is good. I wanted to just mention that because people are going to see it on the campaign and say, "Oh, you've got that new bookmark." That is there. Okay. On the website, postage and back ordering is important. We sold out the hardbacks and we've got them on back order. They're coming in on Monday. We've got the cards. We've been backwards and forwards with the people on the card printing. They tried to print the wrong PDF again, but I called them this time and I said to you, nope, you've backgraded to the other PDF again. I don't know what the earth they're doing, but now it looks perfectly right. All the right borders, no repetitive Vibrelect. And so the cards are, if you've back ordered them, they get sent straight out to you the minute they arrive here. Now, if you've put a back order in and you've got stuff like a paperback, we'll send that out to you first. In this situation, we're splitting up the postage, so you'll get 2 deliveries. If you say you ordered a paperback, a bookmark, and a layers, plus the cards, you get that first stuff first, and the cards will be sent to you when they arrive here, which, unfortunately, it has got slightly delayed. It's the 1st of December, but we send them out on the 2nd. You'll get them long before Christmas. Everything is on plan for the big day. Okay, so with any luck, well, I mean, that is what's going to happen. We'll bang them out, send them out on the 2nd, and at the most 10 days for most places. So we are looking well before Christmas if you're buying it for a Christmas present for anybody. So that is there, and if you've paid for it already, it just gets sent out to you, no problemo. And then we have the final point here. We have apologies to testers. As I was saying before, love it when a plan comes together, Johnny says. I haven't sent out the content yet for the playtesting, but it is coming, and that will be with us very soon. You'll see what I mean, though, when I send out the email. I'll explain a little bit about what is taking the time. And like forever, like always, it is the tables. And then the tables are going to expand out the rules as well. So we've got that. Right, okay. So what's all the hassle about? Well, it's 2d6 Realm. And I'm going to read a little bit. I'm not going to read too much. Maybe on a later stream, I'll read more of the lore of the story. But I want the boys to have a look at the text first before I do too much of that reading. We've got this is the overview. This is part of what I shared on the post on Kickstarter and on Facebook. So I'm going to just go through it, but as I do it, I'm going to explain a little bit about what this means, okay? Because ultimately there are other paragraphs and texts that go around this that support what this sort of structure is talking about. But I'm going to read it. We're going to read this and just sort of discuss it, explain it a bit. So 2d6 Realm is the Overland expansion for 2d6 Dungeon, as we know. You will need the original core rules to play this expansion, even though there are many unique rules herein. This book begins with an outline of the setting, followed by the rules, and then tables need to generate the world within which your adventure explores and lives. Okay, so just on a very basic level, you will need the core rules to play this game. I had anticipated incorporating all the rules into this, but then I looked at it and just thought there's too much repetition. Right, there would be too much, because some of the rules, some of the encounters will use some of the core rules, and I will be putting those into those sections, but it won't be all of them. So you will need to have the core rules. There will at some point be some massive behemoth of an omnibus that deals with all of the rules, and it'll be like a one-off thing, but that'll be years away yet. We're going to get an outline of the setting, which I'm not going to read here, but it is maybe that's something we'll look at next week. I do plan next week to be able to generate some maps next week to show you the kind of the core rules, the core map generation system. So bear with me on that front. Your legacy. Corodine is your home, but on the surface a fragile peace reigns, for below is a subterranean world that threatens the Uplanders. Okay, we know about the subterranean world. We've been in the dungeon. It is an unseen war of sorts in which you have engaged before. Within the dungeons and lairs that penetrate this darkness, you've taken up arms to protect those who live on the surface. But wealth has also been a welcome side effect, and now you've established a homestead in the heartland. From here you can push outwards and explore the largely unclaimed lands and build yourself a realm that one day your ancestors will call their home. So we're establishing here that we're going beyond the dungeon. Okay, the legendary dungeon. But beyond the safety of your realm, you become aware of a rumour that is spreading. It speaks of a terrible place where an insidious evil grows. It is said to be in a land not far from yours, where they live in fear of the night. People whisper of a terrifying presence that is rising from a mighty dungeon, a whisper that has become legend. You know deep down that it is your destiny to face this terrible enemy, a netherlord, or could it be something much worse? You must prepare. Have the finest weapon crafted and armour forged, and discover rare resources to engrave them with magical runes. You know that you must go alone to this legendary dungeon, that you cannot ask another to join you, for it is too dangerous, that you must play your part in the future of Corodine. Okay, so basically, when I was designing this Overland game, it became very, very clear to me that there were elements to it that needed direction. Okay, so as we I was thinking, okay, you can explore this realm, right? And you can go from one area to another, and we'll look at the map in a minute and how that's done. But we need some overarching goal and aim. And I was thinking, okay, you can become a lord, right? So there are 3 levels. You initially become a governor of your land. When you hit a certain amount of land, then you become a dignitary. kind of a loose term that can be replaced if you want. And then you become a lord or a lady. Now, that is one aim, to do that, and you require so much land to do that, and we'll show you the plots in a sec. But also, we know that there is a legendary dungeon out there, and once you reach level 10, you want to be able to keep on exploring and do that dungeon. But to get to that stage, you're going to need to be well equipped and have a kind of more of a presence. And so I realized that what we could be doing with this Overland expansion is creating almost like a super powered hero. Okay, someone who has got where is it? Someone who's got mythical armor and a fabled weapon that you yourself forge. Okay, now you have to have a weaponsmith's hall or an armorer's workshop. These are buildings that you build on your land. So you claim land, explore it. Okay, you can do that. You can go and explore and just have a overland adventure. But you can also build structures on your land. Okay, we'll see some examples of that. And those structures produce things for you. And if you can find certain resources through exploring the land, it opens or unlocks possibilities. Now, to do this, I've had to come up with, if you like, advanced rules for the combat. So when you become a legend, the dungeon is then closed off to you. Okay, you can be playing as a level 1 character in this world. Yeah, but you'll be going back into the dungeon to level up to level 10 to ultimately then go to the legendary dungeon, which is obviously next year. But in the meantime, you've got tons of stuff to do in this 2d6 realm, and you're in a position where your character has reached level 10. There's no challenge left. You can't go back into the dungeon. You're going to be exploring different locations, buildings, tunnels, mine shafts in your land, ridding them of the creatures, gathering resources. What do you gather those resources for? To build these super armor and this super weapon. Now, there is a new system that allows you to tailor your weapon. So there are called extra impacts. Okay, so you will not only get to choose how your kind of level 4, because there's 1, 2, 3 levels already of maneuvers, but there's a level 4 of maneuvers, and those maneuvers can be tailored and changed depending on what resources you channel into it, and then you can add in extra impacts to each maneuver. So not only do you do the damage, but then you roll again and do an extra thing that causes that damage. Okay, so you've got super duper maneuvers plus this extra thing. So you may strike and then twist the sword in the wound to create extra damage. You may strike, a pulse of ice projects out from the weapon at that stage. Okay, so that is an exciting thing that is what you're going to access, and then tailor your weapon and create this this super duper weapon, and then special armor as well. And then the second thing that is going to be an important thing is that yes. So second thing is the armor is the type of damage. So certain so on each maneuver you can select one of the dice of the maneuver and highlight it. Okay, now that highlighted dice, if that is rolled naturally, so say you've got like a maneuver which is a 4 and a 2, if you select the 2 as your highlighted object, highlighted dice in that particular maneuver, if that is rolled naturally, so say you roll a 5 and a 2 and you shift the 5 to a 4 to make it the hit, the 2 was natural, you get to perform a special type of damage. Now you can only get these added to your weapon if you have managed to forge it correctly or find the right resources within your weaponsmith's hall. Okay, so there's this whole system whereby Jeff says, I can see you having your legendary character running an adventurer's guild to mentor them and have those lower level characters go get resources. It's maybe not quite that complex at the moment, Jeff. You've got your constable and you've got your adventurer still working within their realm. Hopefully we're back. Oh my god. Hopefully we're back. Oh my god. Let me check the mic. No. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I was right in the... Hang on. Okay, right. I apologise. Now I'm going to have to do some work on my computer. I just know it. I'm getting a few outages, if you like. I'm losing it. I think I need to put another memory card in there maybe and strip it back a little bit. I stepped off to have a pint. Yeah. No, I've got some wine here, so I'm okay. Back online. Very annoying. I think we had it once last week, didn't we? I went upstairs and just checked whether my son was online, and I went up and he's gone out. But his computer was still on, so I've turned that off. So we should be better on that front. Hopefully we get everybody back, because we were nearly up to 30 people there. As I was in my moment discussing... Where was I? Oh my god. Okay, so I was talking about 2d6 Realm, and we were talking about yeah, Johnny, you're not wrong. I do need some upgrades. Probably need to hoover out my machine as well. There's so much dust in my room. Anyway, okay, so yeah, we're talking about forging the armor. So yeah, the goal. So just to sort of round that section off, the goal will be to ultimately build enough types of buildings so you can have your weaponsmith's hall, your armorer's workshop, your engraver's workshop, and then you will gather stuff and bring it in to these locations, and you can then add in new elements to your weapon, which you're tailoring basically. So you can call it whatever weapon you like. There's probably going to be some little additions for different types of weapon. I'm not sure yet, but be what you like, be focused how you like, and you will basically build up a pool of maneuvers that you can swap in and out as you gain levels, and you will be gaining levels beyond level 10. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So that's exciting. The whole weapon system is spread out on a design sheet at the moment, but yeah. So we've got different types of heat, ice, different sorts of damage, and we've got the extra impact attacks that kind of add to Not to unbalance the hope so that the character doesn't get too strong too fast. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been thinking very, very carefully about what I add. But do not worry. The creatures are going to get a lot worse as well. We're talking about some pretty deadly, terrifying creatures. But those are the future. Now we're talking about 2d6 realm, which is the build-up, if you like, to... it's the build-up to the legendary dungeon. So we get you're gonna build a realm. It's gonna be glorious. So there are some key things that people might expect from an Overland crawler. One of those is that it's hex based. Well, this game isn't. Okay, and for those of you who are bound to hexed base land crawlers, I know why you are. But the reason why we're not in this one is because, in fact, Overland crawls are often called hex crawls. The reason why we're not is because this is about generating land plots. All right, it's about how those land plots connect together in a reality, in a world. Okay, and you know, looking back at history and how land has been divided, it's been done in straight plots. And I kind of wanted to hark back to that a little bit, but I also wanted to hark back to the fact that in 2d6 dungeon you use squares, in 2d6 realm you use squares. Okay. You can move diagonally with these squares. Not that that really matters too much. So this is the A5 format for the page. So you have a page, and then you have arrows on the corners here. Now these arrows are references to other map pages. So you'll have a homestead, which is where you start from, and you head out from that, experience the page, experience the map, and then as you do it, let me just scroll down through this. We'll go this set. You'll see here, as you go through it, you roll for each plot. So square is a plot, and then when you roll to find out what that is, it might indicate that you generate an area. Okay, so it becomes a plot area. So there are two types of space you can experience and generate, and this is just 6 turns. This what you see here. So each area, each plot area or plot is labeled with a square, a little code, if you like, a number, which is the sequence in which you find those plots, because you are going to record your plot on a sheet. Okay, there's going to be what's called the land log. Yeah, there is going to be reference. Okay, now it's one of these things where you look at the system and you kind of think, well, that, you know, potentially that might be quite complex, but it's actually quite a straightforward system. It's more about how you deal with your land and the encounters that you have within that land. It's bringing up those encounters. It's like generating a space, like it is with 2d6 dungeon. The link between 2d6 dungeon and 2d6 realm is designed to be strong. So this is a clear connection between the two games. Okay, these squares you see here are bigger, twice the size of the squares that we'll be using in 2d6 dungeon, because basically there's going to be you're going to need to record information in these squares. All right, now you can see here there's a little house. These little houses indicate that that particular square has a building on it. I'm going to talk about buildings today, but you will get different types of buildings that you can construct, and they will then yield resources, workers, and you get certain benefits depending on the land maybe, or what they're producing. You can see here there is also a ruin, the second RU there, which is an encounter space, and then a occupied tower. All right. Now, when you find a space, it doesn't mean that it's yours. All right. You can claim it. Now, when you do, you have to roll to see who owns that land. If you roll a 1 or a 2 on a d6, someone else owns it. In which case, you have to roll on the ownership table. And there are a number of characters. There are 12 characters or landowners within your kind of region, and they may well own these. And if they do, but you want that land, you can go to the High Actuary, who works for the Baron, who is the guy in charge of the land, if you like, the region, and try and see if you can get that land to increase your realm size. Now, your realm size is important because that indicates how, what title, what position you have, and all your realm size are connected. Okay, so if your realm size is represented by all the lands that connect together, you can own land which is separate, but that doesn't contribute towards the size of your realm. Okay. Yes, so there is some drawing with this. Okay. But there are, I guess, it's no more than it is for 2d6 Dungeon. Again, I'm trying to keep the polarity there. They're both kind of working the same thing. So there are a number of different types of land. Okay. You've got land types. So you've got some basic lands like grassland, meadow, marsh, hills, fields. But you've also got kind of like unique landforms like abandoned dwellings, caves, deep holes, bandit camps. You've got occupied towers, as we've seen before, stone circles, dens. These are locations where there's a high chance of events happening, and they will present locations to explore. So it will be like the abandoned dwelling is a one level house, a bit like one level of the haunted house. So you go in there and you explore it, and there are specific creatures for that particular experience, and you find some treasure, and you come out and you may be able to build another house where you can have a worker who then goes in, who works at your mason's yard, and you can allocate these. Now, there's a certain amount, you've got a certain amount of sheets to manage, but again, you just take one at a time, and each line, you can fill a line in, and then you go back to the map, and then you carry on with your journey and explore. It's I'm almost to the point now where, as I was saying before, it's going to go to the testers, the initial wave, and then the second wave of testers will get it, which is a large group of people. Now, with each of this types of land, so say the shrubland there, right, now that has its own dedicated page with a bit of description, an encounter table, options you can do with the shrubland, whether you clear it, build on it, what resources you could get from that shrubland. Okay, so every type of land has some kind of experience, some kind of benefit. So that's kind of where we're at with how that works. And as you can see, you start to generate it, and with these maps you'll have a series of them, and you write the number of the map at the top, map page number, and then you write, if you're doing another one, you happen to be going off to the right on the map, then you have another page, and you gradually build a larger map, and you write the number of the map in the arrow on that side of the map. Javier, how are you doing? You missed the glitch of the evening. Yes. I don't know, my computer's terribly showing signs of dying, but so I need to get in there and clean it out and put some new memory in it, and maybe look at what I've got clogging up the system. Brian, whoa, finished early and got here. Howdy, Brian, good to see you. I say hello to Brian, the other Brian, earlier on. How you doing? There we go. And you can see there's a list here. This is the TLAT1 table, types of land table, and each one has an abbreviation which you write in the box with a number depending on what order you found that particular plot in, and then the table to roll on and the rank for each space, which indicates the amount of tax that you pay, and you pay tax at the end of every, well, let's go to it here, look, the turn. So this game is split up into turns, and each turn is 6 rounds, and you can do one of 6 things plus some other stuff, which is just sort of general management type stuff. You explore a new plot, begin constructing a building, explore a discovered site, so there may be something deeper within a space, visit the High Actuary to talk about claiming land, begin repurposing a site, so some sites you can change or work within them to do something else, or you can visit the town, which is what you would do normally in 2d6 Dungeon. So you have that is kind of where that's kind of what we're looking at for the system, and you'll cycle through that system and gradually expand out this huge world and have lots of journeys. There are missions that connect, and you'll get to meet different landowners as you explore the game and interact with them in different ways. So that's kind of where we're at with it for this stage. Now, there's obviously a lot of lore which I haven't talked about yet, and I'm one of these people. I don't know what people feel about this. Might there? Jeff puts in a good question. During a turn, might there also be other forces trying to take over your land, and you have to defend? Well, at the end of each turn, you have an event roll, and that event roll could have numerous things. It can have things like bandits appear, weather effects, and wandering trolls, other kind of maybe threatening things. But within Corodine itself, there are no enemy forces as such. And the lore for the Heartland, where this is based, kind of central. Now, this is the kind of working map at the moment. This is a photocopy. The Heartland's here, and overall land is a peaceful thing. So there aren't armies coming in as such. It's pretty much peaceful, but there are disparate peoples, and the lore talks about Heartland and gives you a bit more of an idea about what to expect. So, will the Realm have places where dungeon comes to the surface? Yes. Well, we have to think about the concept of the dungeon, Brian. So the dungeon is one place near the town that is threatening the town, and it has been your job in the past to go down to the dungeon and to clear it and finish it off. And I know, Brian, that you are a legend, so you've done that job. Okay, so the next stage is there aren't any other dungeons in that area, okay, at the moment, but there are underground layers and subterranean holes and caves and stuff like that, which you will explore in 2d6 realm. Okay, and so they are kind of near the surface. You will get access to those. Another dungeon is, so if you're level 10, you spend some time building your armor and your weapon, you will then go on to the legendary dungeon as a legend with your your new armor and your new weapon, which can take on the tougher creatures. Okay, so we're looking at a kind of a kind of middle phase, if you like, whereby you are kind of preparing, but yet adventuring and getting ready for that huge next step. Unite together in a sort of treaties against the underdog. Exactly. And well, there is a narrative that I've constructed whereby you where the world, well, I talk about the world and how it's created in a sense, and then why there is an underworld and how that has encroached on the surface but then been pushed back and encroached again and pushed back, and then a consensus has taken place whereby something is done to deal with the threat of the underworld coming to the surface, but that action in itself has created a problem 100 years later. So I know that sounds all a bit cryptic, but there is a narrative that is the part of the lore and why the world is the way it is, okay, in Corradine, and why the surface is like a peaceful domain at the moment. But the coming darkness, the coming legendary dungeon, is kind of like the aim. This is the journey to that, if you like. So we've got like a 3-stage journey. This is the middle stage at the moment, where you're becoming this super powerful fighter, if you like. It's now more tailored. So that's kind of where we're going with it. Baron, why is there a troll bent over the stream? Well, it's a troll bridge, of course. I get a couple copper for each person crossing. Dear, oh dear. 3 out of 10, Johnny gives that. So that's how I see. I see a future for 2d6 expanding as much as World of Warcraft. Didier, thank you. 2d6 darkness when the land falls into disarray. Quite possibly. Well, hopefully you'll be magnificent enough to quell the darkness from the deep and save the Overlanders. Will there be persistent NPC characters such as the King of, yes, Patriarch, religious figures, infamous criminals, or cheeky beggars in the towns? Yes, there will. I mean, I'm very conscious about forcing law on people. I don't want to do that. Because I think, hey Godzilla, good to see you. I think that people should be allowed to make up their own stories. But with this, I have kind of said, I've written into the rules that if you want to just explore the land and not worry about the kind of narrative in the background, then you don't have to be. But if you want to dive into the lore, there is going to be a whole bunch of stuff to get your hands on. I mean, there are just the landowners themselves. You've got at least 12 landowners who are NPCs. yeah, Bubba, as I'm writing it, I'm getting all sorts of narratives in my head. So potentially we could be looking at novels in the future, but at least short stories. It might be a collection of short stories. We'll just have to see. And that's something I would absolutely love to write. Intro novella. I mean, it's true. Circling back to DFI, lol. Yeah, there's always the Dark Force hasn't had an incursion. It's in this dungeon, and you've just got to get ready to deal with it. So hey John, good day. How you doing? Can't wait. Fantastic. So there's there are things like there are a bunch of people. I'm not going to start listing the names off. I think we'll look at them another time, because I think it'd be better to introduce them that way rather than just throwing random names out there. But I've got the whole list, and the testers will see those lists pretty soon. And in fact, they'll be available. Lots of stuff's going to be available for people to have a look at. And with the campaign coming, the campaign itself is going to list a whole bunch of detail as well. But next week I'm going to do some land generation, and we'll have a look at how that works. Is there a time element? So your character ages and at some point has to retire, and you might end up with a smaller realm if you had trouble expanding, for example. Jeff, good question. So the turn, which consists of 6 rounds, is a month. Okay, so within that time you can start building. You can build a house within 6 months. Some are going to take longer than that, and you can do traveling. You can exploring if you want. At this precise moment, I haven't worked in that longevity factor. There is always the reference to your legacy but if you die, very annoying. Really sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on. We haven't had this problem since, it hasn't been a problem in the past. Just the last couple of streams been very flipping annoying. God damn it. Again, I feel like, I spend all day on the computer. The internet can't handle the new 2D6. Yeah, the son of the roof holding the dish moved. Yes, Bubba, you're not wrong. Got to find out what happens if you die. I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Breathe. It happens sometimes, yeah. Godzilla. Funniest part is that you literally dropped the moment you said when you die. Oh. Okay. So, as I was saying before, I just feel like there's something different about the computer. Which is a weird thing to say, but the dust bunnies are breeding. I think you're right. I've just got to. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being there still when I've come back. It's so frustrating, as if I haven't got enough to do already. IT support, where are you? IT support. Oh God, there isn't IT support. It's just me with a bit of a cold. I do apologise. Did you hear the one about the apprentice plumber who managed to fit his first toilet all by himself? He was flushed with success. Two out of 10 for that one. Have you turned your computer on and off? Yes, I just did. Oh, I see. I think you need to reinstall Windows. Have you tried? I updated Windows probably about a week ago. And I've got this new thing down the bottom here. Nobody else has noticed. Copilot. Oh, I see. I see, yeah. I did update it recently. I wonder whether that's flipped everything over. I don't know. It's very frustrating. I know. I think I need to get in there, clean out the dust, have a look at what memory chips, memory cards this beast takes, and then buy another one, put it in there. It's a bit frustrating, but I think we do need some more memory. I just wonder whether it's a bit overloaded with stuff. I need to clean it out, upgrade my AVG, and have it do some work on there. I think that's probably what we're going to do. Yeah. Oh, Johnny. Yeah. AI. I don't know whether there's much we can do about that now. We just have to accept. I mean, I updated Adobe Photoshop, and they've introduced a new tool to the palette. It's an AI replacement tool that is going to be standard on all updated Adobe. So you can highlight an area and then click on this button, and it will ask you to put a text prompt in, and you write in there what you want in it, and it will fill it in using a AI generator. So although 90% of the work is your own work, if there's a bit there you're not happy with, you can just AI update it. Now, how do you accredit that piece of work? Is it AI generated? No, it's not, because only a little bit of it is. Is it part AI generated? Which part is AI generated? Are you going to have to provide images of when it wasn't and when it was? Are you going to have to... I mean, it's crazy. So you move it on and off button, the computer will only respond to natural language audio commands. Yeah, well, bring that on. I'm happy. I embrace AI technology. I think that we need to be able to integrate it with people. But I feel like AI art, for example, is something that is only going to increase the value of original art. Now, on some levels, it's easy to use AI art, but if you hire an artist and you big them up, people should be prepared to back those people who use real artists. And it is yeah. We can't escape AI. Big companies are using it. Disney's using it. I watched a TV show with an AI generated intro the other day. It's just everywhere, and what we need to understand is there's AI art and there's also original human art and AI art, and you've got to take each for what they are. You know, if you enjoy AI art, it's fine. A lot of AI art is fascinating. Stuff that people would never think of, which is mind-blowing. And then you get some original art and you love and you follow those people and you will give those backing. But you might have a project that has that normal people where you pay an artist, and you might need a lot of art for something, and then so you use AI art, and you don't big that up as something that's a selling point for the show, but it just feels in the background. You know, should that project be crucified for doing that? There's certainly some very strong responses, like, for example, no pun intended or no pun included, the board game reviewers have come out really strong against AI art. What they don't realise is a lot of the games they're backing use AI art already, so it's a bit hypocritical. You know, it's a massive thing. Funny enough, the official stance where I work is that AI tools are strictly forbidden. Ha! That is a massive... There is a massive hidden underworld of people who use AI art. I was reading about it the other day. And a lot of people who got into chatbot, say, early, began to incorporate it into their work and without telling anybody. Okay? Save them time, do some remedial general stuff. A lot of business owners don't know that their workers are using it. So it is balmy. Reasoning being that to use it, you are feeding it your own custom elements that get sent into the cloud and used as part of the training module, losing control over IP in the process. It's gone already, Javier. You know, there is so much data in the AI bots now. It's bonkers, you know, because it depends on what network used. But a tool like Stable Diffusion is fixed and do not learn when you ask for something. Yeah, the whole of the GitHub has been used for train AI. Yeah, not all networks do learn over time. Yeah, they don't. Not all of them, but they have masters who feed stuff into it, and that stuff that they feed into it, because the people being paid. There are hundreds of thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands, thousands of people that are paid to train AI bots. So they get paid to say write short stories and get fed into the AI bot and as options. So it doesn't matter what we do. People are being paid to feed the AI. People will do it. There's nothing we can do. Okay? You just have to say, what you have to make sure you do is you say to somebody, you say to people, look, here is my real artist. Love him, love her, give them respect, buy their work, respect my project for using them. But there's also projects that are going to use AI art, like a lot of small indie companies are going to use it, and they because they don't get access to the big budget money that big companies will suppress the smaller companies because they can afford to buy big art. The smaller companies can't afford to buy it, but now the small companies look like they've got this art. The big companies don't like it. Okay, it is a hugely complex thing. It is a leveling almost for the small indie companies to have an opportunity to produce what look like high quality products that they haven't been able to do. They've got the ideas, they've got the text, they've got the rules, but now they can look the part as well. Javier says, yeah, but for example, the generative tool in Photoshop, it talks home. So imagine we used it at Rockstar and suddenly copyrighted ads, bits of data become part of the module and suddenly appear elsewhere. It's so true, and that is the point, Javier. They're gathering data all the time. It's a potential source of leaks. Yeah, it is. But they don't say that when they install the extra tool on your device. So one day the robots will completely take over. Yeah, that's why I don't use Adobe's cloud tools. Yeah, because I can understand the ban it on art-related elements of our company. Code is different story, and I don't think there's a real path to prevent usage there. Javier, you're so right, but the code will make other things. Nick says, I have to head out now. Love the look of everything so far, Declan, and I can't wait to get our hands on it. Fantastic. Thanks, Nick. That's much appreciated. It's a technical evolution. Wolf's Shield Bez, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Adapt or be left behind. Personally, I've no problem with it, and if I could afford humans, I'd pay them too. That is actually the stance a lot of people take now, and it's completely fair. You know, I just don't think I think there's a lot of very rich people that go, don't use AI art. They're saying that to protect their own interests, not the artist's interests. They don't care about that. The people are making a lot of the noises. Okay, there were some artists which are making noise, but they don't get it. The truth is, those artists are going to get a lot of opportunity in a world where people suddenly realise everything's AI. They'll be looking to the real artists, and they will be elevated. And it doesn't seem that way, but that is how it will be. Had a chat with AI yesterday, and it admitted it was only a sophisticated program. Good, Mark Harrison. That sounds about right. Have an old CS version from before they cloudified all. No AI, no cloud, no data sent home. That's good. I think you can stop your data from being sent. I think that's by law. You have to be given that option. Recent issue shows that at least some of these huge companies change the goalposts. They get people hooked and then start charging for it, or just drop it completely for no good reason. Whenever you get a message from a big company that says don't do this, I never take it at face value. I assume that everybody surely must believe that. No. You've got to look at what the meaning behind it is. I will say, Javier says, that I used ChatGPT today to write my Christmas cards because I couldn't be bothered. So I welcome other robot overlords. Wow. You're writing your Christmas cards nice and early. Haha, does it take AI to write best wishes from Javier? Johnny says, yeah. I like playing with text to image neutral network to get ideas for just to see the bias it can have. One network was producing cat images when asking for something. Yeah, but it's going to get more sophisticated because at the moment there are certain laughable elements to it, like hands and tendrils that come off bodies sometimes. But they will get more sophisticated. Hello, Skynet, said Vincent. Oh, there is a lot of things tagged AI which are not of the AI field. Yeah. 2D6 Robot Overlord. Godzilla. The future. Will the cards need to travel to South America? Need plenty of time. Well, the cartage. Oh, right, I see. Well, right. Okay, yeah. Fantastic. Alrighty. I think that's been a really good little overview, little bit of talk about the game. We're going to look at more next week. I'm going to be sending out the content to the first wave of playtesters very soon. Working very hard on that, and we're putting the world to rights, and feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. Guys, if you've got any more questions, throw them in now. Otherwise, we will wrap it up there. And I'm going to spend some time this week on my computer, clean it out, do some stripping back, maybe get AVG to strip back the gubbins of the programs. Oh, costs. So the game itself is for... There's going to be a faux leather, which is going to be the same. So that's going to be out... what were they last time? It's pretty much the same as last time, Bubba. You can have the core book, which is actually going to be one book this time. So that was about £15. So I haven't actually set these in stone yet. I need to very soon. So probably the core rule book is the core expansion, which is going to be about £15 paperback. And then I think we had it £30 for hardback, and then £60 for the faux leather. There's also going to be a lair, So you can buy the paperback layer, or you can get the omnibus layer edition, which is going to be all the layers and the haunted house in a faux. So it's that's kind of where we're at with it, roughly speaking. And there's going to be some other bits and pieces, some other gubbins that can go in there. That's very true. When will we see the other dungeon types? Good question. So there's the Goblinoid dungeon, which is going to be next year or the year after. The next big dungeon we see is going to be the legendary dungeon. So we've got like a but it may be that we do the Goblinoid dungeon next year as well. So that'll be something to work on. Will the haunted house? The haunted house will be, no, it won't. It was never big enough to print in its own book, in a sense. It will be part of the haunted house, part of the layers omnibus. So there'll be 4 layers. There's 2 new layers being written. We've got 2 already. That'll be added to the new 2. So we've got 4 plus the haunted house, plus some other bits and pieces in there. That'll be like an omnibus faux leather edition. So if you want to go all in, it'll be 3 faux leathers in total, with the new 2d6 realm and the 2d6 layers omnibus, which will be feature other things. There's also going to be a new pack of cards, which is going to be, it may be just a single deck of cards with new creatures, building cards for 2d6 realm, and some other bits and pieces, another platform for the dice for tracking in 2d6 realm. So there's going to be stuff like that. There's also going to be the new dice. Thank you everybody for the awesome suggestions as well for the dice today on the Facebook page. I've gone through that. Omnibus could be the omnibus. No, it's going to be hardback and faux. So we haven't really decided, but it's definitely going to be faux. It may be hardback as well. Probably will be hardback. We'll just have to see. So we'll have to probably. It may even be paperback as well. Yeah, could well be. So I've got to decide. They're little things I've got to decide as I put the campaign together. Thanks, De Niro. No problem, Boa. No problem. What was I just talking about? Yeah. So that's looking good. So yeah, big. So we've got a big 10 days coming up. I will try and get the preview page ready for the Kickstarter. It may be that it's only a few days beforehand, so I won't push it much, and everybody will see when the campaign goes live, which is good. Is the layers omnibus, other than the haunted house, containing more than the existing layers expansions from the first campaign? Yes. So there's 2 in the first layers expansion, and there'll be 2 new layers that will go. So there'll be a total of 4 layers. There's the Basins of Adrumar, and then there's another one from the Law of the World. So there's going to be 4 layers in there, plus the haunted house, and we may well throw in some of the other bits and pieces. There'll be the cards. The cards that are printed for this campaign will be compatible for the layer as well. So the ones that we've seen already will also be printed in the cards pack, and it may be a double, maybe a single. We have to see how many cards it totals. Will there be print and plan option on the Kickstarter? A print and play option? Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. That'll be the digital PDF. Yeah, print and play, and the Demon Lair of Ka'aka. Maybe not quite. But yeah, there will be digital, of course. I reckon we need an undead dungeon, Mark says. Definitely. Dinero says, any plans for real leather bound or just too expensive? We go with the faux leather. I find it's just as good as real leather. So that's the one that we do. Yeah. And so there's not going to be a real leather. It's just going to be a faux leather. Hope that's all right. Yeah. So we've got other little bits and pieces like the new bookmark there you can see on the screen, which is available now at the shop if you want to get it, but otherwise you can order it with the campaign as well. So yeah, brilliant, guys. Thank you. It's been another good stream, even if we have had 2 interruptions. Bloody computer. As I say, I'm going to try and fix that this week. Write myself a note. So yes, good stuff. And dice. Going to be dice. Definitely going to be dice. So many things. Thanks, Jeff. I'm sending that stuff to you very soon. Don't worry. I'm going to get it over to you. And Clive as well. And Nick. Fandabby Dozy. Guys. Fandabby Dozy. Does anybody know that reference? No problem, Creepy Hero. Thanks for being here, bud. And Wolf Shield Bez, thank you. Good night, Mark. Take care, guys. Crankies. Thank you, Wolf Shield. You've made it all worthwhile. Nicholas Sturgeon. Unfortunately, yes. Till next time. Nope. Don't get that reference. Fan Dabby Dozy, you won't get it. It's if you're American, you won't get that one. Rock on, Tommy. Rock on, Tommy. Thanks, Toby, for the news. Can't wait to play. Thanks, Julian. Alan, have a good night, Toby. Thank you. You have a good time. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. More content is going to be pouring out of this. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to play it on stream as well. So that's going to be awesome. Okay, guys. Take care. And I will catch up with you very soon. Thank you.